Hi there and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire. I hope you're having a great day. I thought I would share some tips for creating shaker cards with little stamped images inside. I think it's fun to stamp and color an image, cut it out, and put it in a shaker card so it moves around inside. However, sometimes they go a little bit crazy and go upside down and get out of control. So I'm going to share some tips for including those stamped images in your shaker cards and just some shaker card tips in general. I'm using a few stamp sets from Jane's Doodles today. This is their new unicorn stamp set. It's got some adorable images in it. What I'm doing here is just stamping a bunch of images that I can take with me to color with my kids while we do some arts and crafts. So I have my mini Misty here just so I can stamp them very quickly. You could use an acrylic block if that's all you have. I am stamping with a Copic-friendly black ink onto a Copic-friendly Neenah White cardstock. So I can do some Copic coloring, but you can color however you want. Now you'll see I'm stamping these multiple times so that I can have lots of images to color and to turn into cards. You may also notice that I double stamp some of these, stamp them twice right on top of each other. I just did that to get a more solid black stamped image. It's one of the advantages of using the Misty. So let me show you all the stamp sets that I stamped some images from. This is a leaf stamp set. These are all from Jane's Doodles. The cactus stamp set, which is a great set, I just used the sentiment from it for today's cards. And then this monster stamp set along with the unicorn. So I did all the stamping and then I just did some coloring with my Copic markers. Just felt like doing a little bit of Copic coloring therapy. So I didn't do anything fancy, but I did write down there the colors that I used if that's helpful. This is something that I like to do. I like to stamp a bunch of things and then take them with me on the go or take them down by the kids so that we can do some coloring together. After I did the coloring, I did a quick brush of Spectrum Noir Shimmer Pen over all of the images so that they would have lots of shine. I think this makes a big difference on the cards in real life. Be careful because some colors kind of bleed with the Spectrum Noir. I find with Copics, they don't bleed except the red. Sometimes the pen picks up a little pink from the red ink. So you just want to brush it off onto scrap paper. It'll come off nicely. Okay, after I did all of my coloring, I went ahead and hand cut all the images. I find that therapeutic also. So I have them all cut and ready to go. Now it's time to create the frame for our shaker window. There are many ways to do this, but I thought I'd share with you what I find to work best after trying so many different methods for making that shaker window. I like to die cut a frame shape and die cut it many times from white cardstock or whatever cardstock you have, and then glue a bunch together to build that dimension. You could use craft foam or craft tape for this instead, but I find the results from this are wonderful. So I use this single stitch frame die from My Favorite Things, and I just die cut from some inexpensive white cardstock, and I'm gluing about 5 or 6 of them together at this point. I'll end up adding more of them later. You just want to build it up to whatever dimension you want to have. I'm using a strong liquid adhesive because when this dries, it doesn't leave a sticky edge. If you use other types of adhesive, sometimes there's a sticky edge around the inside of the shaker window, which catches our little shaker bits and keeps them from moving. By using this liquid adhesive, it dries nicely and isn't sticky. It really doesn't take that long to die cut all these and glue them together. I really find that it's worth that little bit of extra effort. Okay, so now that we have our frames starting to build up, we need to create that window that goes across the front. You can see I have an sentiment heat embossed on it. So I'm using this heat-resistant acetate so that I can emboss on it and I don't have to worry about warping the acetate. This will be the front of our shaker window. I brushed it lightly with some anti-static powder tool, and then I am stamping with Versamark ink the You're So Awesome sentiment from this cactus stamp set. Now there are some instructions on the package on how to use this. I kind of ignore them and just use a little bit of my anti-static powder tool. I put on the embossing powder, I flick off the excess, gotta knock it all off, and then I let my heat gun get really good and hot before I bring it to the acetate. And you don't want to kind of like leave the heat on the acetate, you want to pull it towards it and away from it so you don't overheat it. But check it out, you can get a beautiful heat embossed image without warping the acetate. This acetate is really handy to have. Okay, so now that I have my acetate ready, we need to get the piece that goes behind the window of the shaker card, that blue piece that you see in there. That's one of the advantages of using a frame die like this one. I just die cut from some blue cardstock, that same die, and I took the square from the center. Now I have this gorgeous background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. I think it's just awesome. It can be used for a variety of cards. inking it up with a blue ink and stamping it onto my favorite cardstock, which is Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue. I love this color, and Lawn Fawn Merman ink looks great on it. Okay, so now we have that ready. I have my little stars that I colored and cut out, and I'm going to glue those onto the background. You could have saved time by doing the stamping and coloring directly onto a little piece of cardstock here, but I thought it would be fun to glue these on. You could also allow them to float in the shaker window if you want to. Okay, so now I am going to glue some sequins onto the background of this shaker window. Now, I think this makes a big difference with shaker cards. If you don't glue any of the sequins like up to the background, then when you stand your shaker card up, everything falls to the bottom of the shaker window, and that's really not that much fun. You want some of those goodies to kind of stay up. So by adhering some of the sequins, I can be sure that they don't all fall to the bottom. Now, I wanted to have a unicorn in there that would kind of float around but not end up upside down in the corner of our shaker window. So here is the trick that I do. I have this clear thread. Any kind of clear thread would be great. I'll link to the one that I think is best. And I am going to tape a piece of that clear thread along the back of this unicorn. So I'm just using a little piece of washi tape. You could use any kind of tape here. And I am making it so that the thread comes out the top of the unicorn and out the bottom of the unicorn so that I can kind of suspend it across our shaker window. So we can kind of control where he moves. So you can see it's just hanging there. This is the same way I would do a spinner card. So having a little element spinning, but you don't have to worry about the back of this because nobody will see the back of it. Okay, so this is how I suspend it. This is the important part. I'm going to put some strong double-sided tape at the top and the bottom of our frame. This is that frame we kind of built up with a few die cuts. Now I'm going to tape the string onto the top and the bottom of this frame, but I'm not going to do it tightly. I'm going to make it so it's loose in the inside so that he can move around a little bit but not flip upside down and end up in the corner. So you see I'm stretching it across and I'm putting it on, pushing the thread into the tape on the top and into the tape in the bottom, but I'm leaving it kind of loose in there. I'm allowing a little slack in that string. So watch, he can still move around even though the top string and the bottom string are adhered to that frame. So now we need to trim off some of that extra string, and we need to sandwich that string in between another frame, little frame. I'm going to use liquid adhesive again for the rest of this because I like that it doesn't ooze out and make a mess. And then I'll put another frame die cut right on top. So we have that clear string sandwiched in between there, and you really cannot see this string. It's fantastic. It's nice and thin. You could use like a fishing twine or something else that you may have, or even colored string, but I really like that this is so thin and clear. So you can see he moves around in there just fine, but he won't end up upside down and in the corner. I did glue a few more frames on top, so there's about 8 layered up. And now it's time to do the top of our shaker window. I'm just going to get it ready. Now for this, I don't use liquid adhesive, I use double-sided tape. I think that works much better with the acetate. So this is on the back of one of those frame die cuts, and I'm going to lay the acetate right onto it. By the way, I cut the acetate to be slightly smaller than the outside dimension of this frame. So it's about 3 inches by 3 inches. So now we have this ready to go on top of our shaker window. I'm also going to put some double-sided tape on this side so that once I have all my shaker bits inside the window, we can just stick this on top so it's ready to go. Please keep in mind that there are so many ways you can do shaker cards and shaker windows. I've shown many in past videos. You could use any method that works for you and use that string trick there too. Just sandwich it on the top and the bottom of the shaker window and you'll be good to go. Okay, so now it's time to put our card and our window together. I have a piece of shimmer metallic cardstock. It's silver. This is from Gina K. It's beautiful. And I cut it to 4 by 5 1/4. I have glued our little shaker window background towards the top, and I am putting some double-sided tape around the outside edge so that we can glue our built-up frame with the unicorn right on top. This really makes it easy. This method gives you a frame that sticks out from the top of the card, which I think is fun. You can also do a shaker card so that the whole front is flat and the dimension is behind it. And I'll link to a video that shows that option. But check it out. You can see how that unicorn kind of flies around in there. Really moves nicely, but doesn't end up upside down. Now it's time to fill the inside of our shaker window. I'm using some Pretty Pink Posh small star sequins or little confetti. And then also some beads and clear sequins that I have left over from a kit. And then it's time to put our window on top. Remember, we already put the adhesive behind it. We can just press that down, trim off any clear thread that may still be sticking out from the side. Sorry, my head gets in the way there. And check it out, we have a fun shaker card. You want to press that all down firmly, and you can see our little unicorn flies around in there nicely, as do all the other little bits. Now, while we're here, I thought I'd show you just quickly the other examples. Not all the steps, but just some of the key parts. I can't get over how cute this little monster is. So I colored him and cut him out, and I added an eye from this great Doodlebug sticker set. These are called sprinkles, and there are some playful eyes in there. They call them eerie, but I don't think they have to be eerie. I think they can also be fun, and they're great because they're not as thick as Google eyes, so you don't get too much bulk. I can't stand how cute these are. I actually bought like 4 or 5 packs. I'm kind of crazy, but it looks perfect on this monster. So you can see I suspended him with string once again, and I let it be loose there on the inside so he could kind of hop around inside the shaker window. Now it's time to build up a few more frames on that, sandwiching that string in between. And then I can go ahead and assemble him like I did the other. Now here is the leaf example. In this one, I actually suspended 3 leaves. So the green leaf is suspended by itself with a piece of clear thread. And then I glued the other 2 leaves together and suspended them together on another piece of clear thread. So they kind of all move around in there. So you can make a big shaker window and have lots of things kind of floating in there. And again, you do the same method of suspending on string to do a spinner card, but this time we're making the thread loose inside there so it can kind of shake around. Now, if you were building your shaker window out of thin pieces of craft foam on the outside instead of the stacked frames, I would recommend doing 2 layers thick of craft foam. The reason why is it allows these pieces to have more movement in there, and you can sandwich the string in between the 2 layers of the double-sided tape or craft foam. Now this, if you were to mail it, I would put in a padded envelope just to take care of it. You put a lot of effort into it, but I plan to give these cards as gifts to somebody, so I'm just going to hand deliver them. Okay, so here's a closer look at the shimmer metallic cardstocks that I'm using on the background of my cards. They're from Gina K Designs. I'm using the silver and the copper on today's card backgrounds, but there's also the gold. It's just beautiful because it's nice and subtle. Now notice here that I'm assembling these 3 cards together at once, and it really is a huge time saver. If you're making several shaker cards at once, I recommend doing all the steps together. It will cut down the time significantly. Okay, so you can see I'm putting these together just like I did the others. Inside of these, I'm using a new mix from Lucy's Cards. This is called Twinkle Lights, and it is a beautiful mix. There are so many sequin mixes out there. This one is one of my tops because it has some clear in it, it has some beads in it, it has some stars in it, and it has some colors in it. So you could pick out the ones you need to glue onto a card, or you can get a colorful mix inside of your shaker window. Again, notice that I'm gluing some of them onto the background of the shaker window so they stay up when you shake the card around, but then the rest I just throw in on top. So after I have filled all my little shaker windows, it's time to put our heat embossed acetate window on the front, and there we can see the little monster jumping up and down. I just love that he jumps around instead of doing flips. Great way to kind of control what you put in there. And then for the leaves, you can see how the cluster kind of moves around inside also. And I went ahead and glued all of these onto 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note cards. And here are the final 4 cards. I also did a little rainbow. I'm not sure why I made a rainbow moving around in there, but I thought it would be fun to do. And then the leaf card. So this is just a fun way to kind of add a little more to your shaker windows. Remember, you can incorporate them into whatever shaker card window design you would like. If you are interested in learning more about this, please check the YouTube description below. I'll have links there. You can also go to my blog for more pictures. In the middle are 3 other shaker card videos that might be of help to you, different ways to do them, some with less bulk. So be sure to check those out. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful day.